Good evening and happy Sunday, January 19th, 2025, new year, new YouTube channel for me. My name is Anthony Mendoza and my new channel is called Anthony's.geekdom, and I am a new YouTuber starting this off. This will be my second video and hoping to talk to you guys about everything that I love, which is comic books, anime, movies that are action, sci-fi, superhero movies. I also love Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons. So anything that was in the 80s that was considered geekdom, I pretty much liked. And so yeah, today is going to be talking about my love of comic books. And as a little side note, comic books actually made me overcome my dyslexia. I was diagnosed with when I was 5 years old. And so I went through kindergarten and 2 years of first grade through 6 in special classes. However, those teachings were still very hard for me to read normal books. And my parents found out that comic books was a good way for me not to be overwhelmed with so many words because, as you know, comic books have got bubbles with little speech. And then I got to witness awesome storytelling with drama and action with the photos. So it kind of saved and made me become, in my second year of first grade, I went from first grade reading to third grade reading level, thanks to comic books and my special classes I was in. So with that all being said, my introduction to comic books were X-Men, and my favorite comic book character of all time is always going to be Mr. Logan, Wolverine. So I was just loved that character ever since I started reading him. And on a little side note, I had over 5,000 comic books, and about 5 years ago I had a little incident where I wrote down the wrong date for my absolute last day that I could pay my storage without it going to auction. Well, I was a day late, and they sold off all of my comic books and anime and VHS movies and DVDs and Blu-ray. So I'm here to talk about comic books, but yeah, my collection now is probably went from 5,000 down to 350 if I'm lucky right now. I have been looking forward to starting collecting again, replenish some of the stuff that I lost. And so talking about Marvel, it's my introduction, and I loved the X-Men. Wolverine was my favorite. I loved the Hulk, especially his gray version, Mr. Fix-It, where he was in Las Vegas being a bouncer. And another comic book character that I love that nobody really talks about anymore is Rom, the Space Knight. He was absolutely one of my favorites. So yeah, it got me into comics. I started reading a lot better, and I just started collecting. And when I collected my comic books, I always purchased two, one for reading and one to put away. I think that's what most comic book collectors do. But anywho, after I went into Marvel, I found out about DC Comics through a 1980s movie that I absolutely loved, which was Swamp Thing. What I didn't know was that he was supposed to be a superhero from DC. And so it brought me over to DC, and Superman and Batman, the Justice League, of course. Wasn't huge on them, but I liked some of their stories, and so it kept me going. But I really liked Teen Titans, and when they became the Outsiders, that was also awesome. But not a huge DC fan, but I did like some of their stuff, especially their crossover events with Crisis series, Crisis on Infinite Earth, Crisis Zero, things of that nature. So yeah, from there I also got liking Vertigo Comics, Valiant Comics, and Epic Comics. So a lot of the independent at the time, not super popular, but I liked some of those characters as well, especially the Valiant Image crossover Deathmate. That was another favorite crossovers of mine. And from about 1990, I would say 6 to very late 90s, I kind of stopped collecting. But then Marvel came out with a crossover event called Secret Invasion, which kind of got me in. And then what got me really hooked was their Dark Reign crossover. So, and then after Dark Reign was Siege, and that's when I really started collecting again into Marvel, and then a little bit of Image with Invincible, and what the other Invincible album issues I started grabbing comic book was Saga. So I love the mythos of the old gods and things of that nature. So that kind of brought me back a little bit to Image. But I primarily always have been a Marvel guy and probably always will be. Let's see here. I don't know where to go from here, but I love talking comic books. And if you like, subscribe on my new YouTube channel. I'll be able to make live videos hopefully soon. Until then, if you leave comments, my next video on the following day, I'll answer any questions that are in the comments. And that's the way I will be able to talk to you guys a little bit. And I'll give shout outs to people with their names if they leave them, and give me comments and questions. All right. So, from there, I would like to talk about the new stuff that's coming out with comics. I'm not a huge fan of how everything's becoming, I guess you would say, artsy and not so much storytelling. I want them to get back into the storytelling of comics. But yeah, I love talking about comic books. I love talking about Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons. I love talking about movies, specifically sci-fi and action movies. So, especially if it has to deal with comic books, like the MCU. I absolutely loved every single movie the MCU has come out with, except for the last couple years. I did not like the Ant-Man Quantumanium, and I wasn't a huge fan of the last Doctor Strange movie. But for phase 1 through 3, I absolutely loved every movie the MCU made. I love how they made the adaptations from the comic books to the big screen, because of course Civil War wasn't anything like Civil War was in the comic books, and with the X-Men, Days of Future Past wasn't anything like Days of Future Past comic book was, but they took concepts, and I really loved how they did that. I really enjoyed the last Marvel movie, which was a few months ago, Deadpool and Wolverine. It has become one of my favorites. And so, yeah, just wanted to state that this is a new channel. And once again, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll get those comments answered on my next following video. All right. And so this is Anthony Mendoza. And don't know where to go from here. I'm a learning curve, so I usually can talk for hours on end, but I usually have another person at the other end talking to me so that I can spin off of them. But I am in this adventure with my beautiful fiance, who might join me on some upcoming videos just to say hi. And she's also starting her new YouTube channel, so I'll let her talk about all about that and when she makes her videos. So, let's see here. My favorite vintage comic would probably have to be, let's see here. I would have to say Fantastic Four out of the original 1963 comics that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby created would be my vintage favorite team. My favorite team of all time, of course, is going to be X-Men, and that lineup is huge, but my 5 favorite X-Men is Wolverine, Jean Grey, Kitty Pryde, and let's see, for a 5th, I would have to say Archangel. So, I loved the Dark Phoenix saga. I didn't really enjoy the Phoenix saga, but I did enjoy Dark Phoenix with the Hellfire Club introduction and all that. So, and then after Dark Phoenix, I loved the second favorite crossover was Inferno from X-Men, which brought in the New Mutants with X-Factor, X-Men. And so, yeah. All right. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow with the next video. Hit that like, subscribe, Anthony's.geekdom, new YouTube channel. All right. Bye now.